Hi, YouTube. Ignore the background. It is not relevant to what we're talking about today. But we're going to be talking about the Electronic Arts being sold off to private investors. We're going to be reading through some articles from Sims Community. The links I will be putting in the description down below. But we're going to try and make sense of what's going on. And I'm going to give my own personal thoughts and fears about what's going on as well. I'll put some visuals up as well as when they're necessary, or like helpful like guides for visuals, and I'll put all the links for everything I'm reading here today, so you can follow along. Grab your popcorn, grab your snacks, because this is a doozy. September 29th, 2025, the Electronic Arts and in hand The Sims franchise was officially sold for $55 billion to concerning private investors. EA officially announces that they're going private after selling their company to Saudi Arabia's PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners. There was an article update to this. I'm going to read it first. We previously noted that fiscal year 2027 begins on January 27. We've made updates to the article with more clear information about when Q1 of fiscal year 2027 will actually begin. Electronic Arts has released an official press release just now after concerning rumors that went out this weekend. The rumors of EA going private for $50 billion has been confirmed today, with private investors including Saudi Arabia's PIF fund, Jared Kushner's Affinity Group, and Silver Lake. Yeah, that jaw dropped. I remember hearing a whiff of the rumor like over the weekend meaning pre-September 29th, so like 27th, 28th. I heard a whiff of the rumor, but like I paid it no mind because I was like, I didn't know EA was in debt, which we'll also get more into this into the article. So if you don't know what the Saudi Arabia PIF fund is, Public Investment Fund. So you shouldn't say PIF fund. You should say PIF or Public Investment Fund, because saying PIF fund is redundant, but whatever. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. They are the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia. I don't know too much information. We can look into it later once we read through this article, but basically they're trying to expand past just like oil, and so the entertainment industry is allegedly like an easier way to do that. Everything I'm saying is alleged. Do your own research. The entire Electronic Arts brand and its catalog, including the Sims franchise, has been sold to private investors for $55 billion. As noted in the official press release, the deal will close through and be finalized in Q1 of fiscal year 2027. The private investors will have ownership of Electronic Arts and its franchises from October 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026, when the first quarter of fiscal year 2027 officially begins. We report the full press release from EA in full. They have like the entire press release like statement listed in here. It is very much like, official legal jargon, but it basically says what we just confirmed. But Electronic Arts Incorporated, a global in interactive to entertainment, today announced that it has entered into a definitive agreement to be acquired by an investor consortium comprised of PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners in an all-cash transaction that values EA at an enterprise value of approximately $55 billion. The transaction positions EA to accelerate innovation and growth to build the future of entertainment. And it talks about how consortium, aka the three major like investors that own this in private, who will take like each percent in stake, how much stockholders will receive in cash. So it's gonna be private, so I guess it's not gonna be publicly traded anymore, which I know I was talking to my dad about that earlier. He was asking me, are you sure it's private, like it's not gonna be stock traded? So if they're paying their investors in cash, I'm assuming it's probably gonna go off the stock market, which is crazy. There is this one message here from their official press release that says, our creative and passionate teams at EA have delivered extraordinary experiences for hundreds of millions of fans, built some of the world's most iconic IP, and created significant value for our business. This moment is a powerful recognition of their remarkable work, said Andrew Wilson, chairman and CEO of Electronic Arts. Looking ahead, we will continue to push the boundaries of entertainment, sports, and technology, unlocking new opportunities. Together with our partners, we will create transformative experiences to inspire generations to come. I am more energized than ever about the future we are building. I mean, based on that statement, it seems like the chairman, CEO, he seems pretty proud or at least pretty confident in this decision to sell to investors. I don't know if it's going to mention it later in this article, but I think I read somewhere that said they were like $20 billion in debt. So for selling for 55, does that mean they just pass that debt along to the investors? Or is that like that debt is just cleared and they have like remaining billion to spend whatever fuck all on? I really don't know. I really don't know, Chad. I should, but I really don't. It goes on about like not what people think, but like just, nice little jargon about this investment embodies Silver Lake's mission to partner with exceptional management teams at the highest quality. It's just talking about how this is a quote unquote correct choice for EA to do. Business statements, PR statements, that kind of vibe. Jared Kushner has a statement in here. It says, Electronic Arts is an extraordinary company with a world-class management team and a bold vision for the future. I've admired their ability to create iconic, lasting experiences, and as someone who grew up playing their games and now enjoys them with his kids, I couldn't be more excited about what's ahead, said Jared Kushner, Chief Executive Officer or CEO of Affinity Partners. So yeah, these are basically statements from the investors. And then it goes into the transaction details, which, that part of it is not what's concerning. I'll go into what is like the first thing concerning to people is obviously this is business. It doesn't have anything specifically political tied to it, but people are scared about what this means for the future of specifically The Sims, as a person that plays The Sims, and seeing this as a perspective of specifically people that played The Sims 4. The Sims came out in 2014, and since then has updated so many details and game options that allow people to feel seen and to feel like recognized and respected. Like, I remember how cool it was whenever they added the pronoun feature in Create a Sim, where you could specifically add like your Sim's pronouns, whether they're she, her, they, them, he, him, and there's even custom pronoun options to even expand even further on that, which is so beautiful to see. As well as I remember when they expanded on like the gender options, where you can have a sim be labeled as female, but you can toggle they pee while standing up. Maybe they don't have the option to become pregnant. It just adds like, for people in like LGBTQIA plus to feel secure. But even outside of just that, you can go into like I never know the correct terminology. I always grew up with disabled, but I know people like handy-capable, so I apologize if I offend anyone if I say disabled or handy-capable interchangeably. But they even added like the into Create a Sim, like I don't remember what they're called, like healthcare accessories or health accessories. They added hearing aids to the game as well. They've taken in their like 10 plus years, because if I remember correctly, The Sims 4 came out in 2014. It's 2025 as I'm recording this and as this deal was made. They've done so many things for people to feel recognized and feel like they can create an authentic version of what their life is, or even what they wish their life could be in The Sims, to have like accepting Sims and, just a true representation of what life is. With the investors that are currently privately owning it, people fear that there's a threat to these specific features in the game. Let me pull up an example of what a very popular simmer has already said, because I feel like the way she puts it is so like well put. She's honestly my favorite simmer. What she said honestly encapsulates everything that I feel about this as well. lilsimsie, I'll also put her link down below for YouTube watchers. They are a Sims content creator. They've been making Sims video for like literally years. And she made a post yesterday about the about the announcement as well. She specifically states, "The Sims has been a very inclusive game for a long time, and it horrifies me to think of them rolling back any of that progress or somehow censoring the game. Making a change like that would alienate the entire player base of The Sims, and I think it would be an incredibly stupid and short-sighted move from the new investors that would backfire heavily." She shares that sentiment with me, and I'm assuming, or I've as based on what I've seen on the internet with a lot of fans of The Sims, where having the game being owned with groups that typically are very conservative, it is like a fear of them ruining a game that you love so dearly and love so much. It's a genuine fear I feel like to have. Obviously, it's not like any official statements have been made to say that that is their plan of what they're going to do, but it's still something that you can overthink on, or you can have as a fear in the back of your mind. So yeah, it's just scary. It's just really scary because you have the Saudi Arabian PIF. I don't want to speak on their culture because don't take part in it and I don't research it much, but I do know there are aspects in their culture that I don't think fully align with all of the features in The Sims 4. I think I can say at least that much of it. And then as well as, Jared Kushner, he is son-in-law of Donald Trump, our current president in the United States. And based on the positioning of how our president views certain things that align as features in the game, assuming, which, again, this is all alleged, my opinion, my assumptions, if Jared Kushner shares a lot of those values or views, then it is very plausible that maybe he would want to make changes to the game in terms of censorship of these types of features. So that's what I'd say was the initial scare and the initial fear when it comes to The Sims 4's new owners. And then another article was released, same day by the way, by the Sims community, where they said new owners of EA are betting into AI for cutting cost and boosting profit. AI is definitely a scary topic to discuss. It's not new in the same way that it is. We've had AI for so long in so many different ways, but with things like OpenAI and ChatGPT, generative AI, it's obviously developing at a scarily fast rate. And whenever you have AI in things like art, which I'm not saying video games are solely pieces of art, it's a combination of STEM and art and a bunch of things. But with the combination of AI and art, I feel like it does more bad than good. And I can't speak for everyone, but it seems like that's a shared sentiment again with Sims community players. But I'm just going to read a little bit of this article before I give more of my opinion and another statement that lilsimsie actually touches on this as well. Insider report claims that EA's new investors are betting into AI technology for maximizing profit. A new report by the Financial Times, currently paywalled, claims to have more knowledge about operational hopes and plans that the new investors have in Electronic Arts. In case you missed out on the news, EA has officially announced today that they've been bought out and go private after a $55 billion deal from multiple investors. To review, that's Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner from Affinity Partners, Saudi Arabia's private investment fund by controversial prince Mohammed bin Salman, and Silver Lake Company. The deal, noted to go in full effect in the first quarter of fiscal year 2027, also puts pressure on the company with its $20 billion debt. So I guess that answers the question I heard earlier, where if that sale actually secures that debt or if it just passes it along to the new investors. Seems like it just passes it along to them, which is crazy, but whatever, I guess. How does the company plan to keep up with maximizing profit and cutting costs? Apparently, these new investors are thinking of using AI technology, which is terrifying. The Electronic Arts new owners are banking big on AI in the future of the company. According to a new report from Financial Times, the ownership group is betting on AI being able to, quote, significantly cut CEA's operating costs. Per the report, which again is paywalled, the enhanced use of AI will be used as a way to also, quote, boost EA's profits in the coming years. This will allow the new owners to, quote, manage a large debt load on a company that has historically carried limited net debt. For the Sims franchise, we've already seen new AI technology being advertised last year during EA's Investor Days. However, the talks mentioned here probably don't allude to player-facing AI features, but rather behind-the-scenes operational costs and game developments. There's no information if the current buyout will have an effect on the number of employees within Electronic Arts and Maxis Studio. Still, the mention of speeding up the game development process and cutting operation costs could allude to future layoffs within the company. So, like I mentioned earlier, AI, generative AI inclusion of art in art, it all just rubs me the wrong way. Personally, I know there are ways that AI just in general can be used to benefit us humans and benefit like the quality of life. I just think with its like increasingly speeding of progression paired with the very slow like laws and regulations being developed for it, the pace difference makes me so uneasy. I feel like there needs to be way more regulation as we continue forward in its development and usage, just for the safety of everyone and the safety of others. It's so terrifying. As the article mentioned, using AI to cut costs has me terrified on that means they're gonna cut members of like the Sims team, Max's team, EA team. Because again, while I'm speaking about this from Sims perspective, this is gonna impact so many different teams under EA because they're the ones that make Madden. I think they have a hand or are the ones that do Battlefield games. And so this isn't just going to be AI in The Sims. It is probably also going to be in the creation of other games as well under EA. Again, lilsimsie in her post that she made, she does touch on the AI being mentioned as well. The buyout is financed by $20 billion of debt, which they will need to prioritize paying off quickly. For us, this could mean a push towards even more microtransactions or budget cuts and tighter deadlines on future content in games like Project Renee. This could also result in some pretty aggressive cost cutting, which might mean layoffs at EA. I also have some big concerns about AI, largely about them possibly trying to start using AI to replace artists on EA games. She doesn't really talk about it too much, but she does mention it in her article. But honestly, everything lilsimsie just says I agree with, because and what this article says I also agree with. The use of AI obviously is going to reduce their costs of production, but in hand that means the artists that create the concept art for The Sims or that create art that goes into the game and like create the assets that go into the game may be replaced by some AI software. It's horrifying. You know, that goes into the discussion of like AI is taking away our jobs, which I mean it is and it isn't. You know, a lot of companies these days it costs less to do it. And at the end of the day, sometimes the profit is more important to some of these companies than the people that make the product as good as it is. I have a genuine fear, specifically for The Sims. I'm not speaking on anything else, but specifically for The Sims. If you replace the artists on this game with AI, it's gonna lose that heart and that soul. Because with The Sims, especially when they create new worlds, they create new clothing, new furniture, there's always so many blog posts on their inspirations from the artists that made this, whether it's like the collaboration but with a Sims creator, with an actual brand, etc. They have kits that are based on Seoul, Korea fashion. They have expansion packs where they have worlds based on actual locations around the globe. And can an AI do that? I mean, yeah. But it's gonna lack that nuance of like little details they include because of experience, if that makes sense. And you may be thinking, girl, it's a game. No one's gonna notice the little nuanced details. And I mean, maybe you don't, but someone does. It's like when you're watching a Jacksepticeye video and he's like getting so obsessed in the beauty of like the lighting in just one moment of The Last of Us. The snow in the forest and how it falls off the trees and everything. Someone took their time and effort to code and animate that, the physics of that, etc. And this might be getting too far off topic, honestly, but it's, it's that nuance, that love that someone puts into designing that to go into the production of actually putting it in final work. There's a nuance to it. There is, because someone cares about that. And so when you have an AI replace someone that cares, you lose that love. Because you got to cook with love, you can't just cook with AI. You got to cook with love. That's basically the second fear after that article came out, was how AI could affect the game and how it's going to affect the teams under The Sims. It's scary. And then the Sims community put another article out, basically how EA employees share their sentiment. This one I actually haven't read yet, so this is going to be like part reading and part reactioning. AI isn't good though, or intelligent. We really shouldn't call it AI, in my opinion. Honestly, that's fair to me too. AI is not intelligent. It learns and regurgitates, because you have to teach it for it to know what to do. And if you don't feed it the stuff for it to know, then it just searches the web. Guess who can do that too, bitch? Us. We don't need AI. It's just a lazy, convenient tool. This is the last article we're going to talk about. But trusted source reports on sentiment inside the EA developer team. The story about EA's buyout by private investment from Affinity Partners, Saudi Arabia's private investment fund in Silver Lake, hasn't just made a stir up within the community, players, and creators. Trusted gaming journalist Stefan Totilo has wrote an insightful article today about the acquisition for GameFile website, where they also got a chance to speak anonymously to some of the EA employees and share their concerns about the new acquisition. 2 anonymous employees at EA voiced that they're very concerned about this acquisition. One stating that they're afraid of layoffs that might occur with this buyout, with the other stating that this feels like a big, quote, F you, quote, to all women and LGBTQ plus employees currently working at Electronic Arts. In his note to workers, Wilson said today that our values and our commitment to players and fans around the world remain unchanged. Wilson, I'm assuming meaning Andrew Wilson, CEO of EA. That didn't convince one current EA worker who told GameFile that, quote, Andrew Wilson basically said F you to all women and LGBTQ employees at EA with this deal, end quote. Speaking anonymously because they were not authorized to discuss company matters publicly, they also said, quote, it just shows how many people have been collateral this past year for executives to make out rich. Nothing feels great. And we know when the deal closes, it's going to get worse before it gets better, if better is even possible. Another said, quote, I'm nervous about what this means in terms of workforce once the deal is closed, as layoffs usually follow those types of acquisitions. And on a personal level, the second person adds, those future owners are really not in line with my values and beliefs. So, yeesh. This article really has me feeling for the people on these teams. Goddamn. I don't know on a personal level, or know even on any level, the people that work on the Sims team. I always assumed, based on the demographics of the people who play the game, that it kind of mirrored the people who make it. So a lot of women and a lot of LGBTQIA plus members play The Sims. So I figured it was naturally going to reflect in the people who make it as well. And, I'm assuming based on who they interviewed, GameFile, these quotes that this article took from the GameFile interview, they're just as concerned as us. But obviously they have to also be concerned in a different way, because this is their jobs, this is their livelihood, this is how they make money. They are either going to have to face being laid off, or maybe if they're one of the quote-unquote lucky ones that aren't laid off, are they willing, if the new owners of EA don't align with their morals, are they going to stay there to keep working on it, even if they're told or tasked with things that they don't believe in? Because, sometimes things are hard. You got to make money. You have to make money to live, unfortunately. You have to be able to pay rent. You have to get groceries, you get gas, pay bills. And so I can only imagine the stress these people are under. If for some reason any EA members, whether you're under The Sims or not, are going through this, I am so sorry, because I would be shitting bricks, crying in the shower, calling my parents, being like, what do I do? It's really scary. All those terms, learned, teaching, and the rest are just misnomers that lead people to the wrong conclusions. It doesn't actually do any of those things. I just have a huge AI rant that's not that's not relevant. Yeah. I'm trying to. I believe me, Frisky. I could also go on a real huge. I've been on like a huge rant with my dad in the past about AI because I feel like it does more bad than good. Because there is small little glimmers of good that it can do. I don't think everyone has the right intention with it, and I don't believe it should be as easily accessible without proper regulation in place. I understand that technological development is not something that's going to end anytime soon. It's a part of life. It's what happened with computers, with iPhones, with fucking calculators, okay? People are going to continue to develop things to make life easier, and people are going to be resistant to it at first, and then they become integrated to daily life stuff. And I know that, like, probably at the end of the day, AI is going to be one of those things, and I'm going to be one of the ones in history that was resistant to it at first. But again, my biggest thing is intention and regulation when it comes to AI. But that's off topic. That can be another rant for another video. I don't know. I'm trying to remain hopeful. I'm trying to remain positive. You know, I won't lie. I cried yesterday at this news. As someone who's played The Sims since it released in 2014 and has firsthand seen its development, whether that's from me buying the packs, playing the game, watching lilsimsie videos and streams, watching random clips online to walkthroughs on how to do certain quests or complete certain skills or careers. It has been a big part of my life. Dare I say, one of the most substantial games I've ever played in my life. It's just all really scary. Scary times. Give me 1 second. I'm going to send those in chat if you guys want to read these yourselves. Develop your opinions. Again, everything I said is alleged or is my opinion based on the information I have in front of me. Nothing is completely factual except, you know, the EA was bought out. I don't have to lie about that. That is bought out. But everything is conspiracy. Everything is not confirmed on what is to come from this acquisition. Always do your own research. You may find some more information that I haven't. You may know more than I do, and you may be watching this in the future, and certain things happen that we didn't know at time of filming or at time of posting this, okay? I'm gonna leave that at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for listening to me rant and ramble Twitch. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube if you liked this kind of video. It's my first time kind of doing talking about something that happened and giving my own thoughts and opinions. I feel like I didn't even give enough of my own thoughts and opinions because I kind of just lined with lilsimsie. I feel like I just reiterated stuff, but I don't know. I need to get that off my chest, and I needed to read these because I've only skimmed them. I just wanted to read them. Not to say you should do a certain action or any certain actions out of this, but just know a pirate's life sounds kind of fun sometimes. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye. We're gonna yap. Anyone that's hopping in, we're about to talk about the Sims community drama. Well, it's not drama, it's like news. Is my iPad not on the right Wi-Fi? It's like fucking slow as hell. No reason it should be acting this slow. Electronic Arts released a L reader, guys. My bad. That's what it should be called. LCT. Lazy convenient tool. Isn't that League Championships? My bad. I feel like that's already an acronym for something. I just always assumed because of the demographic of the game, it kind of aligned with the, like, okay. I don't know. We don't need to regulate AI. We need to regulate employment contracts. Well, when I say regulate AI, I mean regulate its usage and regulate its development. So I think we have the same thing. Like AI itself, you know, it can't do anything on its own. It's the people that utilize it, the people that create it. But anyways. Okay. Whoa. I talked more than I thought I was going to, chat. I talked way more than I thought I was going to.